Washington on, drop it. Power panel. John Iadarola, Cenk, Uygur, Jobrani, everybody. Jobrani. Okay.
Muy fuerte. Good to be back.
Uno más.
Uno más.
Okay. So we got a great show ahead for you guys. Tick, 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 tick. That's coming up. Fun for everybody. Okay, second hour, we got another fun special guest for you guys, Kal Penn. He's gonna host the show with us in the second hour. I'm also gonna talk to him in the conversation. We don't normally have the conversation. That's our interview show that we do as part of the third hour of the Young Turks. We don't normally do it on Friday, but we will today. And that'll be with Kal Penn as well. So obviously he'll host the show and then we'll have a conversation with him about his career and his new show. Okay, don't forget, I started telling you guys about this yesterday. Massive announcement sometime next week. Massive, okay?
The return of the common room.
So far everybody I've told, I say that and they're like, yeah. And then I tell them what it is, they're like, all right, so that's next week. Don't miss the shows next week, obviously. Okay.
Are you gonna announce that you were on the phone call too?
I'm not
with the
saying
Ukrainians?
anything. I'm not saying anything. You can save it for next week.
First-hand knowledge.
Could you imagine? Turns out I've been in the White House the whole time.
He's the whistleblower.
He's the whistleblower.
The call is coming from inside the house.
I knew it.
Red dots appear on his shirt.
Yeah. Actually, we have a story about Anonymous today, and it's a hell of a story. Okay, so that's the person who wrote the New York Times op-ed and has a book coming out. All right, so let's do it. Let's get to it. Bloomberg, go.
Okay. This has been a big week for the 0.00001% of you who've been saying, I want more billionaires in this Democratic primary, because we might have one. On Thursday, the New York Times first reported that Michael Bloomberg is flirting with the idea of a presidential bid again, noting he has dispatched staffers to gather signatures in Alabama, a state with an early filing deadline, and calling up prominent Democrats, including, by the way, Harry Reid, who's apparently still very important. It's not clear whether he's again threatening to run or if this time around he'll really go through with it. But I think it's safe to say that pretty much everyone is assuming that this is a serious move that he's making.
Yeah, it looks like it, and he's got to decide in a couple of days because there's more filing deadlines next week. So are you in or are you out? He's been doing this for a long time. When the news broke in the middle of the show yesterday, it was confusing. It was like, because we're doing the show and during the commercial break, I get a thing that says Bloomberg files in Alabama. I'm like, he's running against Pete Sessions? So, because Pete Sessions obviously announced yesterday that he's running for the Alabama Senate seat. So I knew that wasn't the thing. But what I was mainly worried about, and guys, this is the most important part of this story, is I immediately scoured through this the story to see, is he running as a Democrat or is he running as an independent? Because that's all the difference in the world. So he is running as a Democrat in the Democratic primary, at least for now. Okay.
He says supposedly that he will not run as an independent.
Yeah, I need that to be nailed down with 1,000,000,000% certainty. So if you're gonna run the Democratic Party, the one thing that everybody should pledge, and so they, ask the progressives this all the time when it's never been an issue. But I'm much more concerned about the Bloombergs of the world. You will not run as an independent. If that's 100% certainty, then the water's warm. Come on in, Mike. It's gonna be great. I think the Democratic primary voters are clamoring for a billionaire to save the day. I'm sure of it.
Well, especially if it's a billionaire who's also generally out of line with Democrats on issues like bank regulations, stop and frisk policing, and the Me Too movement. He has criticized it in the past. He's singled out Elizabeth Warren on her push to break up big banks. And generally when it comes to that area and that industry, he's gonna have positions that are unlike many voters, I would assume.
I wish more billionaires would do like Richard Branson and just go parasailing with presidents as opposed to running for president. I guess when you got this much money and you're 77 and you're bored, rather than starting a band, you just run for president.
Yeah.
Although that would have been equally, well, actually more shocking than fun though, if you started a band. That I would listen to.
That's what I'm talking about, right? The Bloomberg 5.
Yeah.
I saw Mike and the Bloombies.
I saw a tweet that just said, Mike, just buy Fox News. Like, yeah, why not? Well, I mean, there's a million other things you could do that would actually benefit the world, but why this is so, I mean, I guess they say, what was the tagline for the social network? It's like, you can't get to 1 billion friends without making some enemies. Well, you can't get to $53 billion without losing complete touch with reality.
Yeah.
Like to think, I'm looking out across America and thinking, I'm the one that they want.
Well, in the article it talked about how he felt that Biden's going to be the centrist guy, and now that he feels that Biden's not doing that, I'm going to come in and be the centrist guy. This makes me question why so many people are so afraid of the progressive side. Like, it seems like people that should be happy with getting healthcare and free college education are convinced to vote against themselves and get pulled back towards the center more. Whereas I think, like, let's go long, let's go for it. Let's push ourselves into the more progressive side. And unfortunately, you get more guys like this who are like, no, let's come back in the middle. But let's go. If we're gonna lose, which hopefully we won't, but if we're gonna lose, let's lose big as opposed to losing in the middle.
Well, so I want to touch on something that you both said. So first of all, why don't I mind Bloomberg being in the race? To the point that John made, I'll add one more thing that he's conservative about. He's very open to charter schools. So, like, anyone who thinks Mike Bloomberg has a real chance of winning the Democratic primary honestly doesn't know anything about politics. And so you say, oh, Cenk, that's not fair. You have to keep an open mind and blah, 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 and he has billions of dollars, blah, 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 blah. Totally, utterly irrelevant. No way these primary voters are voting for a guy who targeted blacks and Latinos with stop and frisk. And who is a giant, not just that he's a billionaire, I don't care that he's a billionaire. I don't know that others do, maybe they do. I don't care that he's a billionaire. I think you could be a wonderful guy and be a billionaire. But that defends Wall Street with like a frenzied passion.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we don't need to regulate Wall Street. Now remember, he made all of his money by selling the Bloomberg terminals to Wall Street. Okay, so he is Wall Street through and through. So that is never, ever gonna win on the Democratic primary side in this cycle. Like that, you have to know nothing about politics to think that. Yet most of the major media, I mean, they are taking him so seriously. They're like, oh my God, this is a formidable entry into the race if he does. Formidable with who?
Well, why don't we show that actually? Because the thing is, it's not like he actually went around the country talking to activists and regular voters, let alone progressives, to find out if they'd like him. He talks to a limited number of people, the power brokers in the party and people in media. And what do you know? Some of those people actually like him. And so take a look at a little bit of what Chuck Todd had to say yesterday after the announcement, or at least the leak came out.
Guns and climate. Who's to his left?
Well, Beto was to his left on guns, but he's not going to be a factor any longer.
Right? I mean, so
also the governor of
you can make an argument that
Bloomberg has embraced the Green New
I don't think he's embraced that. I agree.
So that's one area where he actually is more to the center than she is.
In the smoke-filled room, you'd say on paper, Bloomberg has the right balance of what you want to win a broad election, maybe not a deep election, but if you're trying to win the ex-suburban Republican, which, by the way, Michael Bloomberg's an ex-suburban, arguably an ex-urban Republican. And at the same time, you care about these core progressive issues like guns and climate. It ain't just somebody buying an election.
Oh, that's such a bad take in so many ways.
But listen, guys, I was just in New York and I was at a conference that had both bankers and media figures. We talked about it on the post game yesterday, tyt.com/join to get the fuller conversation. But I'm here to tell you, they live in a billion% different bubble than the rest of us. I mean, and the bubble is thick. Everyone in the room's like, oh yeah, Biden, he got this thing nailed. I mean, I'm a little worried about Warren. And Warren, she would destroy capitalism. She would immediately destroy the economy. Oh my God, hair on fire. And they think, well, and she would obviously lose. Obviously lose. We would all vote against her. She would obviously lose. You guys are 1% of 1% of 1%. You don't know anything. You don't know anything about the rest of the country. They're talking about, like, I said to one guy, wages have been stagnant for 40 years. He says, so what? I mean, look, even if you don't care policy-wise, in terms of politics, that's 99.9% of the voters. They care. That's the answer. They care. So a guy who is so out of touch with the person, and look, but so why I'm telling you that is not just because I guarantee you, I mean, I would bet any amount of money and give almost any odds that Mike Bloomberg will not win this Democratic primary. But I'm telling you that because Chuck Todd lives in that bubble. And it's a weird, ironic way of almost defending him. Everyone in that bubble, all they ever hear every day, 24/7 by everyone around them, by 99% of the people around them are like, oh, no, Warren and Sanders can't possibly win. And people don't like populism. Trump just won, he just won in 2016. And they're still all going around like, oh, we hate populism, right? Everybody hates populism. No, populism isn't gonna work. You need a really establishment candidate who loves billionaires. Well, that was Hillary Clinton, she lost to Donald Trump. But nope, that facts cannot penetrate that bubble. Yeah. So everyone on TV thinks, oh, Bloomberg, oh, hey, could be Bloomberg, it could be Bloomberg. You guys are nuts. Here, come on, any person on cable news, name the price, name the odds, I'll take the bet.
And also, it would be one thing if it was just Chuck Todd talking to his audience who he knows are not composed of progressives and saying, I like him as a potential alternative to Biden. He's got a bunch of money, I like that. It was the gaslighting that, no, the reason he'll win is because of core progressive values. Who's to the left? Who's to the left? He doesn't support the Green New Deal. Well, yeah, but other than that, on the climate, who's to the left? What are you talking about? That's where the party is at. That's where the left is at. They reformed all of what the Democratic Party thinks about and is planning when it has to do with climate change around that policy. He completely rejects that, but no one's to his left on that topic.
Everybody is to his left on like 4 really significant topics. Like literally everyone, even the most conservative Democrat is to the left. Joe Biden, it seems like a wild-eyed progressive compared to Bloomberg on Wall Street and on stop and frisk and criminal justice reform, right? So, and then on the issues he's supposed to be good at, hey, I don't begrudge him that. If he wants to help on gun control and on climate change, I'm super happy to take his help. But if he thinks being moderate on those positions is good enough to win a Democratic primary and have people support him for president, he's nuts, and everybody who thinks that is nuts. But I want to make one more point about what Maz said. Look, everyone in media drills into everybody's head that the establishment Democrats are more likely to win. It is the exact opposite of the truth. You just saw it with your own eyes. So it's not me versus the rest of the media combined. It's your own eyes, facts that you know to be true versus the rest of the media combined. Hillary Clinton did in fact lose. I don't know if you guys know that. She's not president. She was an establishment Democrat. Biden is an establishment Democrat. Bloomberg is an establishment partly Democrat. So they are not more electable. So every time you say that, they're like, oh, no, it's because of the weather and James Comey and the Russians, blah, blah, blah. Otherwise, the establishment never. No, Bernie Sanders had a 12-point lead on election day. 12-point lead. I don't know if you know this, but they would have run a campaign against him. They would have had negative ads. Oh, really, Mr. Sophisticated? I didn't know that. Yes, but a 12-point lead would have been a nice cushion, right? As opposed to what we had, which is someone who lost to Donald Trump. So I'm positive beyond anything I could describe to you that Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders have a far, far better chance of winning than Joe Biden or preposterous Mike Bloomberg. They think they're gonna rally the whole country because they're like, oh no, guys, it's okay. We now have a billionaire who's mainly right wing. So hey, everybody go vote for lower wages.
Yeah.
That's not planet Earth. That's not this country. These analysts unfortunately know nothing.
Yeah, but we want to be fair. And so when someone launches, we want to show you the side from those who support him. And it's been a little bit difficult to find supporters of his, but we showed you one. Chuck Todd seems excited about the prospect, whether he's going to endorse him or not. We did identify another supporter of the Bloomberg run, this one even more supportive. But to explain that, we have to catch you up, and that involves launching into another episode of When Rich Men Cry.
I care. That's it.
So that individual there is billionaire Leon Cooperman, who was brought to tears while doing a media appearance after being asked about Donald Trump potentially being impeached, and they were also talking about a wealth tax. He just doesn't like it because he cares so much. Turns out that while the week started off pretty bad for him, it got better once Bloomberg announced, because he just said, "I'm a huge fan of Michael. I know him personally. It's a breath of fresh air. Unless he changes his stripes, he will have my unequivocal support."
Oh, he's gonna rally all of the, what, 400 billionaires?
542 billionaires,
Well, I mean, look, 542, that's not a bad number. I mean, there's 330 million people in the country, but it's a good start. So yes, I agree that if the election was held with only billionaires voting, Mike Bloomberg might win. And by the way, in the past, that was basically what it was, because they would just give him all of the money, and in this case, he doesn't even need it, and he would just buy the election. But it's modern politics. Over the last 2 years, we have shown you that doesn't work anymore. Over the last 4 years, we've shown you that doesn't work anymore. And where it works the least is in presidential elections, where there's a ton of free media. And you can't buy your way out of free media. So you go ahead and get all the billionaire voters you want, but nobody else is interested. In fact, just don't take my word for it. Here's one poll, it's a Fox News poll that was done. They asked Democratic primary voters. By the way, the Fox News polls have been relatively accurate. That's why Donald Trump is losing his mind every time it shows that he's getting killed by every Democrat in the race.
And Sean Hannity attacked a Fox News poll recently too.
Yeah, that'd be like me attacking a TYT poll.
Yeah,
it's so stupid. Anyway, 6% of Democratic primary voters said they would definitely support him, which I'm actually astonished at how high that is. I don't believe that number, but okay, it's a poll and I'm giving it to you. We'll get real polls in a second if he actually enters the race, because this was a theoretical, hypothetical poll of him entering the race. When he actually does, and when he makes appearances, when he tells it what he is. But anyway, 6%. I don't know if you know this, but that's not a high number. How about the people who said they definitely would not vote for him? What is it? I mean, if Chuck Todd is right, what's that? 2%, 1%, 0%? Because everybody's interested in Mike.
Maybe 6%.
Oh man, then that would be, then he'd be just even, right? 32% would never ever vote for him.
Yeah.
6 to 32. I'm not great at math, but I can tell that that's not a good number.
Didn't he run as a Republican once? Has he run already?
Yeah, as a Republican mayor, not for president.
Okay. But I mean, it feels like he's so easy. It's so easy to target him. I mean, look at what Kamala Harris is going through right now because of some of the policies that she supported. Now she's already out the gate. People thought, oh, maybe she's the one, and now she's suffering. And so if he has on record the stop and frisk, he's got the Me Too comments. I mean, there's so many things you could go after him for. And then in the debate with Trump, it just doesn't feel, because Trump is Teflon, right? So whatever he says, his supporters just follow. Whatever, you say the logic shows that this guy's done X, Y, and Z. They go, well, whatever, he's doing it for the country, right? But it feels like somebody like Bloomberg in a one-on-one, to me, would like get his butt whooped. Just, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? It feels so easy. Even though I heard him in the Democratic convention, national convention, he said something along the lines of he was calling Trump a con man and people were cheering him on and stuff. Great speech, but go one-on-one, you're gonna get whooped. So again, it feels like you said, I hope he doesn't take a look and go, okay, you know what, I gotta go independent, because then we're screwed.
Yeah, and look, guys, last things about that, because there's so many good points that Maz just made. First of all, Kamala Harris got beat up in the Democratic primary because she went after truancy. That was considered too tough and on crime, and I agree with that. But I mean, that's your standard. Stop and frisk.
Oh my God.
Like 1,000,000,000% worse than what Kamala Harris did. He would get slaughtered in the debates.
The only thing who likes his past on that is Pete Buttigieg, who's like, stand me next to him. Focus on him for a little bit, please, when it comes to those topics.
Yeah, and so guys, I'm not against ex-Republicans. I'm an ex-Republican, right? But the dude was a Republican until Trump. So it's like, oh, Bush and Cheney, fantastic. He ran as a Republican, not like, hey, I kind of think like the Republicans from afar. He ran as a Republican and he's like, oh, Bush, Cheney, torture, the Iraq war. He was on for all that. God damn it, do you not follow politics at all? There's no way he could possibly win. But to that point, I want to come back to the most important part of it. Look, the real threat here, guys, is not that Bloomberg is gonna run in the Democratic primary, that he's gonna run in the Democratic primary as a pretense to then later run as an independent. Well, I ran as a Democrat, I gave it a fair chance, but these Democrats, they're terrible and extreme. I had no choice but to protect my billions of dollars by running as an independent and just taking, even if he could at most 1%. Take 2%, right? At most in a general election, that's different than a Democratic primary, right? But even if he took 0.5%, it might be enough to put Trump into office instead of Warren or Sanders. And then he'll go, oh, golly gee. Now he says, if you ask him, he says that we need to finish the job and ensure that Trump is defeated. He's an unprecedented threat to our nation. But Warren and Sanders are an unprecedented threat to his wallet.
Yeah.
So he'll find, look, what I'm worried about is that guys like him will find any excuse to be like, well, I mean, I didn't want to do it. I ran into the Democratic primary. I didn't want to do it. But I mean, I had to. Oh, golly gee, did I take 1.5 points and that cost the Democrats the election and Trump is back to giving me trillions of dollars in tax cuts? Well, I guess that's what happened. Oh, silly me. So that's the real threat from Mike Bloomberg. And if he does that, he will be a villain for all time. I mean, there's no recovery from that if you try to aid and abet Donald Trump in an era like this.
He's gonna Jill Stein it.
Yeah, and by the way, he won't get any of the crap that she got.
Yeah.
Like when it was Jill Stein, they're like, oh, get third party, you're costing us the election. If it's Bloomberg, they're gonna be like,
well,
oh, Bloomberg, the reasonable moderate, maybe he could win. Maybe he could win.
I think that's a great point. I would love to see Hillary Clinton say that Michael Bloomberg is grooming himself to run as a third-party candidate right now.
Yeah, that's a great question. Are the Republicans grooming him? Are the Russians grooming him? How come we're not having that conversation?
So far as I know, he has said he's not going to. I guess I want to see great assurances. Whereas Hillary was attacking Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard said over and over and over and over again she's never going to run as a third-party candidate.
So here's how you can give an assurance. My trust fund that I was going to give to X, Y, and Z, if I run as an independent, will now go to the Young Turks. Okay, well that would be a guarantee that you're not running as an independent.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see that happen.
Yeah. First break.
Yes. All right. When we come back, the person inside the White House that wrote the devastating New York Times op-ed has a new book out, and boy, are there, when you want to talk about devastating. Some of the stories from inside there, the two in particular, the 100 terrible ones, but two in particular where I was like, wow, just when you thought he can't possibly go any lower. Yeah, he went lower. Right back. We hope you're enjoying this free clip from the Young Turks. If you want to get the whole show and more exclusive content while supporting independent media, become a member at tyt.com/join today. In the meantime, enjoy this free segment. All right, back in the Young Turks, let's go to the comments. Is that Blue I See writes in, can't believe I get to watch the live show. Yeah, anybody can do that. It is, of course, every day, 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern on tyt.com/live. The Left First writes in, I only want more billionaires in the race if it means they break down in tears often. Hashtag I'm with Anna. A guy writes in, if Bloomberg wants to throw his money away, I'm willing to alleviate him of that affliction. That is mighty Christian of you.
Wow. Really fast, Bloomberg, just like help Mitch McConnell get beat. Like, there are so many better ways to spend your money. There's almost every better way to spend your money.
Although, guys, I forgot to mention this in the story. Keep in mind, this might actually help us. I mean, if he takes a couple of points away during the primaries, it's going to be from Biden.
Yeah.
So be careful what you wish for. You just might get it, right?
Yeah.
So Big Doc D Nice says, first and foremost, thank you for the birthday wish to my wife, D Nice. She really loved it. It made it seem like I have juice. That's funny. Cenk, I often disagree with you. Not funny or interesting. Okay. But the smile on my wife's face as you wish her happy birthday, we will always be good. Thanks. All right, thank you guys. You're members, we love you. You make the show happen. One on Twitter, John, I'd do anything to get the literal shirt off your back. Where can I find one? Hashtag the squad. So go to John's one shot here. So yes, this just came out on shoptyt.com, shoptyt.com. I realized I was wearing one earlier today.
Dodged a bullet. There.
Yeah, John and I always wear the same shirt on the same day. Anyway, so I changed in this one. But if you switch the order, it spells Arya, okay? If you had Ilhan before Ayanna. And it's not the way that Arya Stark spells her name, but they're all making a list.
If you switch it again, it could be RIAA, which I think is a regulating body of the government.
Okay, not as interesting, but okay.
Radio
we'll take it on. We'll take it under advisement.
Possible sponsorship thing we can work on.
All right. Okay. Anyway, shoptyt.com. Oh, speaking of websites, if you want to see where Maz is going to be performing, which is all over the place, MazJobrani.com. MazJobrani.com, definitely check that out. And there it is, okay. And last one is our YouTube Super Chat. We always enjoy when you use YouTube Super Chat. In fact, on Monday, we're gonna do a special post game where you guys can ask us anything if you're on YouTube Super Chat. So the way you do that is simply on youtube.com/TYT. It'll be in the 8 o'clock hour on Monday, this upcoming Monday. And go ahead, comments, questions on that. But for now, I'll take two right now. Peter Hamby says, so Bloomberg, who has a lot of money, wants to spend a lot of money to save a lot of money? Sounds counterproductive to me. Not another centrist, okay? All right, I hear you on that. And Louis Hensoff says, Anna, I'm sure this is not a new suggestion, but it would be amazing if you were the guest, if you were a guest of The View and correct our co-hosts and all their misinformation. We need progressives to go on that show. So every once in a while we'll get suggestions like this. Some shows don't want us on.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And it's not like sometimes it's spiteful. Bill Maher. Okay. And sometimes it's just, they're like, oh, I don't know, it's an online show. No one in power has ever gone online, right? So that's just the reality of it. But thank you for the suggestion. All right, John.
Agreed, okay, let's have a little bit of fun, sort of. The author of the anti-Trump insider account of the White House, the anonymous official, is now out with a book, a warning, and there's a lot in it that Donald Trump is not going to like. So first of all, it is, as I said, anonymous. It was anonymous when it was an editorial. This person is not unmasking himself or herself now, but this person explains why, saying, I have decided to publish this anonymously because this debate is not about me, it is about us. It is about how we want the presidency to reflect our country, and that is where the discussion should center. Some will call this cowardice. My feelings are not hurt by the accusation, nor am I unprepared to attach my name to criticism of President Trump. I may do so in due course. We have a lot of crazy stuff we're gonna launch into for just a minute, but do you think that it might have been more effective or more powerful if we knew who it was?
I think perhaps the due course is right now when it would make a difference.
A year ago?
Or, we're literally in the middle of impeachment. I don't know if this person, as he's wobbly,
or she,
no, I'm saying as Trump is wobbly.
He.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. That he or she, who's anonymous, Kellyanne Conway. Anyway, I don't know. Would deliver the knockout blow. Okay, that's all fair. But if you wait till after Trump is gone and go, ta-da, in due course, now I collected all the money. Now I'd like to get credit for criticizing him. But I didn't do it publicly when it mattered. You will get no credit. In fact, you'll get the exact opposite. No, you did hide like a coward if you come out after Trump is already gone.
I just don't know how in this day and age, this person, it's one thing to be like, I'm gonna write an op-ed piece and then go, okay, I'm not telling anybody. Then to write a book, I'm like, how does that even happen that we don't find out who it is in this day and age? Maybe you've ever sent an email and one person that wasn't supposed to be on there was on there. You're like, oh no, I got to pull it back, or a text or something.
Yeah.
There's got to be this person is either living in the most heightened level of security and paranoia you can imagine, or there's it's bound to come out. It's got to come out. There's got to be some, because if I tell you, they got to deliver the paperwork to somebody.
Yeah.
Right. And you got to tell your publisher. So now you both know.
Yeah.
And you might be at a dinner one time, a little boozed up. No offense, but then what I'm trying to say is I don't know how they're getting away with a whole book out under anonymous, because then what that's letting the White House do is this, what's her name, the press secretary, Stephanie whatever. Grisham is saying, oh, exactly, coward, and this is all made up, and you gotta, get your fact check and blah, blah, blah. But if we knew who it was, if it were Mattis, or if it were Pence, or who, I don't know, the joke being Melania, like you said, whoever it is, then it's like, okay, now we're face to face and we gotta test their credibility.
Well, I would have released my identity, but maybe they're worried that it'll affect the voting for Dancing with the Stars. I don't know. I'm not really sure. Anyway,
I do want to say one last thing about that, guys. Look, how do you not know who it is if you're Trump? Because now, to your point, it's a book, right? It's not just one op-ed. So that person had to be in all of those different meetings, and you can't figure out who it is. The person
wouldn't he have to read it though?
Exactly. The person who wrote this book knows that Trump is so stupid, he still won't be able to figure it out.
No. He won't. So let's figure out what can we learn from this official. He says the author describes Trump careening from one self-inflicted crisis to the next like a 12-year-old in an air traffic control tower, pushing the buttons of government indiscriminately, indifferent to the planes skidding across the runway and the flights frantically diverting away from the airport, which corroborates what we've seen. But that was an inside view of him doing that, not understanding. And by the way, you can find out more by reading the book, but also even just from the descriptions, goes more into depth about the fact that he has no idea what different government officials, what job they have. So he tells the Secretary of Defense to do stuff that the Secretary of State is supposed to do. For a lot of things, he just tells Jared Kushner to do it. He tells the AG to do things that the head of the FBI is supposed to do. He honestly doesn't know, and despite his assurances before his election, he refuses to learn. And that is why it's difficult for him to respond to crises, because he has no idea who he's supposed to actually coordinate with.
So that's why you hear him in the Ukraine call in the semi-transcript that was released saying, William Barr will reach out to you and Giuliani. Wait, Giuliani is your personal lawyer. What does he have to do with the government? And Barr is the attorney general. What the hell does he have to do with Ukraine? No, if anybody were to reach out on official state business, it'd be the State Department. But he doesn't know anything. He's like, I don't know, I'm gonna pick random names out of a hat and they'll reach out to you. And Barr, when he saw that, he's like, what did you do? Why did you tell him I would reach out?
Yeah.
So, and now, at least with that sentence, it's not anyone in the Trump family.
But you know what they do?
Because that sentence was way too sophisticated for any Trump to write.
You know what they do again is the support he gets, and he said this in the election, and I talked about this in my stand-up special where I said it's the one place where you go, I want an outsider, I'm an outsider, you want an outsider to go in there and clean it up. But no, we don't want an outsider. We want somebody who does know how government works. You know what I'm saying? I mean, maybe some level of outsiderness, but to be this guy who has been living in, the best example I can think of Trump is he's our Muammar Gaddafi. He has lived in this world where he's just been having yes people around him forever. Muammar Gaddafi got to the point where he had these, like he'd be like, I want a hot woman guard with a bazooka guarding me. And he had all these women in like a gold airplane guarding him. That's what Trump has kind of grown up with from the time he had yes men his whole life. And now we're like, go to the White House and go run this country. And as you said, he's telling the guy who's like, the Department of Agriculture to go do the defense thing, and my Giuliani's gonna get in touch, and my assistant will call you. He has no idea what he's doing, and no, we don't want an outsider. We want somebody, you know how stressful it is? Because every day I wake up waiting for that headline to say he left, just so I can breathe, whether you like him or not. It's like we're walking on eggshells. I heard Mark Maron talk about this. He said when Obama was in power, he goes, I didn't really know what was going on, but I felt like it was in good hands. But now you feel like at any moment, anything could happen, and it is. And you see the inside this book telling you. And the problem is this book, when you read some of the stuff the guy's talking about, you go, this sounds about right. This sounds like, you're not doubting it. You're not going like, no, he's making it up.
Yeah.
Or I used to say, sorry, I'm ranting here a little bit. I'm getting inspired by you, Jake. No, when the thing happened, remember when the in Hawaii, they said that there's bombs coming from Korea and they had the bomb threat, and everyone was freaked out. And I thought to myself, I go, my God, we're living in this era right now where with this current president, I believed that North Korea was bombing us because he said something at some point.
Yeah.
You don't think and go, no, it's a false alarm. You go, it could be happening because this guy could have said something. So that's what you get when you get an outsider to go in and do the most important job in the world.
With an IQ of approximately 42.
The missiles are in the air and his response is, dear God, someone wake up Ben Carson. No, that's not, not him, you idiot. Anyway, okay, so in response to finding out, I believe this was in response to judges initially striking down the Muslim ban that he tried to put into effect. He apparently was quoted as saying, can we just get rid of the judges? Let's get rid of the expletive judges. There shouldn't be any at all, really.
There shouldn't be any judges at all, really. Okay, I mean, look, if you still support the guy, whatever, there's nothing I can do to help you, and you don't understand America at all, and you'd love to live in a tyrannical government.
Yeah.
There are no judges, how do you have any law? He said he was a party of rule of law and law and order. How do you have law and order without any judges? Guy's a total unbelievable moron and a criminal. You know who doesn't like judges? Criminals.
Yeah. So sort of related, has to do with discrimination. The author alleges that Trump attempted a Hispanic accent during an Oval Office meeting to complain about migrants crossing the US-Mexico border. Trump was quoted as saying, quote, "We get these women coming in with like 7 children. They're saying, oh, please help, my husband left me. They're useless. They don't do anything for our country. At least if they came in with a husband, we could put him in the fields to pick corn or something."
So was the Spanish accent when he said, "Oh, please help me, my husband left me"? Is that when he did a bad?
I'm assuming the whole thing. I don't know.
So guys, look, the bad accent. To Maz's earlier point, no one's surprised, and that wouldn't even make news at all.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're useless. If you are a Latino mom, he finds you useless. The only way that he would find you useful is if he could use your husband to pick corn.
Wow. Yes, now in terms of what might have happened to radically change the face of government, the anonymous author provides 2 things that came close to happening but didn't. One was senior Trump administration officials considered resigning en masse last year in a midnight self-massacre to sound a public alarm about President Trump's conduct, but rejected the idea because they believed it would further destabilize an already teetering government.
Yeah, look, what you're supposed to do when you have a mentally unstable and incompetent president, I don't mean incompetent overall. We've had, unfortunately, several incompetent presidents, including George W. Bush, who now is feeling like he's on top of the world because he's cleared the lowest bar in history. But what you're supposed to do is when the president is mentally incompetent, incapable of holding the office and executing his duties, we have something in the Constitution for that. It's called the 25th Amendment. You convene the cabinet and you say, yeah, the president is mentally damaged, so let's do something. You don't just, like, there's a method for this, and you really should. They should have done it from the get-go when they all realized, every one of them knows it. And now they're out of the administration, and you see your Mattis, you hear his former chief of staff, John Kelly, talking about like, well, John Kelly said, I'm worried that I shouldn't have resigned because I knew he'd get impeached if I resigned. Why? Because he's obviously a criminal and somebody has to stop him from being a criminal. And he's obviously mentally incompetent and everyone around him is a yes man. And so everybody knows this. Everybody who works with Trump knows that you're all following a madman, okay? The only people who don't know are the idiots in the red hats. So the Republican Party knows it. They're worried about the guys in the red hats and they're worried about losing their own seats. But we all know he's a lunatic and an idiot and all of these horrible things. But the comment about Latino woman coming in, just as when you think you can't get any lower, you're useless. You're useless. And well, your husband could be useful if he was a servant of ours. God damn it. And if you support him after hearing that, and then don't get surprised when we say you're racist. They're like, oh, I can't believe you called me racist. I think the only thing that Latinos are good for is picking corn, otherwise they're useless. Okay, if that's not racist, what the hell is? So it's not just him, it's his supporters that are the problem because they enjoy following this maniac.
But also it goes deeper because it's not just him denigrating these people, it's the fact that we need immigrants in this country and we're losing because he keeps saying, I want the best and the brightest. As an Iranian American, I know for a fact, because of the travel ban, a lot of very smart Iranian students in Iran who've been accepted to top universities here have had their visas revoked and not been allowed to come here because he's playing politics. And the same thing goes for people that are trying to come here through asylum. We need those people, and instead of coming here, they're gonna end up in Canada and Europe and other places. So even if you're defending him on the other side and go like, yeah, we want the best and the brightest, or they should come here and do some work and whatever, they do come here and do work. They do come here and add to the economy. We need them in the economy. This dude is crippling us in the future with what he does, and they keep going to things like his son saying things like, well, the economy's good and the numbers are better, and therefore, I know he's got kind of a crude mouth sometimes. How far are we willing to go? How far are you willing to give up your own integrity to say that the economy's good? Which, by the way, that's debatable as well. What caused the economy to be as good as it is? Is it as good as it is? We're not sure. Are people getting the benefits that they were supposed to? We don't know. But how low are we willing to go? How many people are we willing to put in cages? How many times are we willing to denigrate families that are trying to come here for a better life? because you think that your stock prices are a little bit higher.
Yeah.
By the way, you say that about Iranian immigrants, and I guarantee you the MAGA guys watching are like, I don't care how smart they are. I'm glad they're not coming. They're from Iran, and then they don't get that that's a racist thing to say.
Yeah.
Like they literally don't understand that. How could they help our economy? They're from Iran, man. Nobody from the Middle East is going to help our economy. Well, there was an immigrant who had a son here. He was from Syria. Ugh, Syria. His son's name is Steve Jobs. Wound up helping the economy a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we break.
Another break. When we come back, tick, 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 tick.